All right, I am live. I think so. I believe, and it looks like you got one person watching. All right. Today, I kind of wanted to talk about the YouTube demonetization situation. Hey, Erwin, how you doing? And I haven't been affected by it yet. At least not that I know of. I still have all my little green circles there by my videos showing that they're monetized. So I haven't been affected by it, but I can see a problem, and I want to kind of go through some stuff and talk about it a little bit and kind of show you what I'm thinking. And then when I'm done, I've got a bottom line or kind of what I think is happening. Let's see here. Let me... Okay, so first of all, if you're not aware of what's going on, YouTube has started demonetizing videos because many advertisers are pulling their ad money from YouTube or Google, and it's because they're saying that their ads are being played on hate speech types of videos. And I can understand that there are a lot of video content out there that advertisers don't want to be associated with. But I think what's happening is it's going a little bit deeper than that. But you can see here on screen, we have a list of some of the companies that have pulled, such as AT&T, Coke, General Motors, Johnson & Johnson, Pepsi, Starbucks, Verizon, Walmart. There's a couple others that are pretty interesting. If we look over here, we can see, hey Doug, hey Hunter, and Tanner, Savage, how you doing? But some of them that I have found kind of interesting here is UK. Okay, the UK government, they're pulling their ads. Who knew that they even actually advertised on Google? Or how about Lloyd's Bank? Some of the big boys, Royal Bank of Scotland. Some big players are pulling ads because of hate speech. Well, I think kind of what I want to explain, let me get back to the screen here. Yeah. I think it's going deeper than hate speech. And the reason I say that is because, for instance, well, let's take a look at the advertiser-friendly content guideline for YouTube. All right. What they're doing here is they're laying out what they say is advertiser-friendly. Okay. And so we have the usuals, sexually suggestive content, violence, including display of serious injury and events related to violent extremism, inappropriate language, and promotion of drugs and regulated substance. All those are understandable. But the one that kind of bothers me here is the controversial or sensitive subjects and events, including subjects related to war, political conflict, natural disasters, and tragedies, even if graphic imagery is not shown. Okay, this is deemed, and all this is very vague. I mean, you could look at any video on YouTube and something there you could say, has to do with it. But let's think about this for a minute. You're watching TV, you're watching the news, and they're going to show these kind of imagery. They're going to talk about it. What about some of your favorite shows on TV, like Supernatural or Walking Dead or cop shows of any kind? You're going to get a lot of violence and stuff like that. But they're covered with advertisers, right? Those things are not considered non-advertiser friendly. So why is it that somebody who puts something up on YouTube and talks about that, and I'm not talking about, you know, sexually suggestive stuff or really bad violence and, you know, inappropriate language, but I'm talking about, you know, stuff on the news that you see a lot of, showing, just like this Syria thing. We've seen they were showing all the babies that were hit with the chemical weapons and stuff like that, and they're talking about the politics constantly. So why is that not considered non-advertiser friendly compared to someone who gets on YouTube and does the same thing? A little bit of something to think about there. Okay, so let's take a look at first of all, y'all know what Brexit is, and that's when first let me take a look here. I see you, 44. How you doing? Who still watches TV? Savage, yeah. And I'm going to kind of get to that point, actually. So if you don't know what Brexit is, that's when you know, the UK voted to leave the European Union, or the EU. And basically, you know, people kind of woke up and realized that this was a bad deal and we need to get out of it. And they voted to get out of it. And the deal with that is now they got a 2-year situation where the EU and Britain will talk back and forth to each other and come up with a deal or an agreement for them to leave. And then within 2 years, Britain will be out. But think about this. The people kind of woke up and decided to be out of it, right? And so they voted against it. Well, the problem is the EU or the UN or, you know, any government, they're starting to lose their control of the narrative or their control over the mass for, you know, people's worldview. And what's happening is people are turning to the internet and they're looking at YouTube, they're looking at the different news sites, alternative media, and they're starting to see the lies that are coming out of the government-owned media sites, corporations that own these different things, and they're losing control of that narrative. So how do they get control of that narrative back without looking like a tyrannical government, you know, trying to take away your freedom of speech? Well, I kind of think with this demonetization thing with Google and YouTube kind of shows that, and all these different social media platforms that are, you know, moderating their own sites. Let's see, what's that, Hunter? Yeah, Trump decided to bomb them. I think they might take it as an act of war, yeah? A lot of stuff coming out about that. I don't have an opinion yet. I'm kind of waiting to see how that plays out before I share my opinion, I should say. Okay, let's see. I want to... Okay. So now the European Union came up with a code of conduct on countering illegal hate speech online. And this is actually their article on that. But what I find interesting here is the Commission, together with Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Microsoft, the IT companies, today unveil a code of conduct that includes a series of commitments to combat the spread of illegal hate speech online in Europe. So the IT companies kind of had their thing to say about it. Twitter, head of public policy for Europe, Karen White, commented, "Hateful content has no place on Twitter and we will continue to tackle this issue head on alongside our partners in industry and civil society. Here's the fun part. We remain committed to letting the tweets flow. However, there is a clear distinction between freedom of expression and conduct that incites violence and hate. And I agree. They're painting the picture of stuff like all the ISIS videos and stuff where they're recruiting. Excuse me. And that's what we hear and see when they talk about that stuff. They make it sound like that's what they're after to get rid of. And so you will see them say stuff like, we remain committed to letting the tweets flow. How about Google here? Google Public Policy and Government Relations Director Lee Junius, I'm sure I'm not saying that correctly. We're committed to giving people access to information through our services, but we have always prohibited illegal hate speech on our platforms. Okay, we are committed to giving people access to information through our services. That's fine. They're a private company. They can do what they want, which is what a lot of people will tell you. But we have efficient systems to review and valid notifications in less than 24 hours and to remove illegal content. So remember what they're saying here, illegal content. Okay, and how do you define illegal content? Monica Bikert, head of global policy management at Facebook, said, "We welcome today's announcements and the change to continue our work with the Commission and wider tech industry to fight hate speech. With a global community of 1.6 billion people, we work hard to balance giving people the power to express themselves whilst ensuring we provide a respectful environment. We work hard to balance giving the people the power to express themselves. Okay, that sounds, speech friendly, doesn't it? How about Microsoft? We value civility and free expression. Okay, free expression. They value that. But yet, they want to get rid of hate speech, which, who can blame them? Nobody likes hate speech. I'm getting to a point here, but I'm building up to it. So anyways, by signing this code of conduct, the IT companies commit to continuing their efforts to tackle illegal hate speech online. So many of the things they do here will be the IT companies taking the lead on countering the spread of illegal hate speech online. We have agreed with the European Commission on a code of conduct setting the following public commitments. The IT companies have in place clear and effective processes to review notifications regarding illegal hate speech on their services so they can remove or disable access to such content. They have in place their rules or community guidelines. And upon receipt of a valid removal notification. Okay, here's something. A valid removal notification. What is a removal notification? Somebody just, sends them a note saying, hey, this is bad? Or, do they have a process in place? Yeah, Jack. Yeah, same way. I shall speak my mind. And I'm probably going to lose, monetization over this. They lost their edge. Savage Survival says they lost their edge due to the internet, and they know it. So they are trying to force their political, social on views, make the small man the bad guy. Savage, you're on point. You are definitely on point here. Anyways, this is just a list of all the things that they will do, and it all looks nice, and we're going to get control of this hate speech, bad stuff, right? Okay. But what you have here is the EU, a governmental entity, kind of leading the the cause on this and bringing in the social platforms to come up with these conducts, these codes of conduct. But now let's look back at all the corporations that are pulling their advertising. It's kind of amazing how this kind of all kind of happened at once, right? Within a small window of time. And they just all started pulling everything and saying, oh, this is horrible, and our stuff's being shown on, really bad videos. And I know the Wall Street Journal kind of has perpetuated this by going, spending hours on YouTube looking for content that's bad, and they get an advertisement on it, like from Coke, and then tell Coke that take a screenshot and show, look at what you're advertising on. And somebody had said at one point, yeah, they're probably, refreshing that feed, trying to get the advertisement to come up on, this bad video, so that they can take a picture and send it to them. All right, so let's kind of boil this down to what I think is going on. If we look back at the advertiser friendly content guidelines and the last one at the bottom there, controversial or sensitive subjects and events, including subject related to war, political conflicts, natural disasters, and tragedies, even if the graphic imagery is not shown. All right, what they're doing is they're attacking alternative media. They're attacking people's opinions, basically attacking free speech. And people are reaching out to the internet, reaching out to YouTube. They're learning the truth about stuff through these different sources, alternative medias. People that actually go out and see something happen and come back and talk about it, or they'll pull different articles and then give their opinion about it. And what's happening is it's pulling the masses away from, mainstream media. So mainstream media no longer has the ability to start forming or continue to form their opinions and their worldview, so to speak. Plus, as mainstream media and news corps and stuff like that start losing viewership, well, of course they're going to lose revenue themselves because they just don't have the eyeballs. And that's what it is. It's about selling eyeballs. So for like a YouTube channel, the more subscribers and the more views they get, the more eyeballs they have to sell to an advertiser. Same thing with TV. And then you also have the government that can't no longer control this worldview of the masses. And the Brexit thing is a perfect example. People were kind of waking up and seeing what's going on in the world and realizing that they don't need the EU. They're trying to get out. And of course now the EU has a harder time controlling that narrative to get people to stay in line. So with such a vague content guideline, controversial or sensitive subjects and events, including subjects related to war, political conflicts, natural disasters, and tragedies, even if graphic imagery is not shown, that's vague. I mean, that could be anybody, and we're seeing that now where a lot of content creators are losing their monetization just over a word, So what I'm seeing here is a bigger picture of getting all these people together, the big corporations, the governments, and they're going, okay, we've got to stop this because we're losing the eyeballs, we're losing the control. So how do we do that without looking like the big bad tyrannical government trying to take away free speech? Well, let's couch that in hate speech, and then write up all these guidelines to where we can snag anything we need and call it bad. That's what I see. Let's see here. When do I think from Irwin, when do I think the EU will collapse? I don't know. I don't know that they will. I think when you got a monster that big, you got the EU, you got the UN, all these different large governments. When you got monsters that big, it's hard for them to be brought down. And I think what they're going to do is just get nastier. Really, that's my opinion. Let's see here. I want to show. All right, I have a bottom line on this, and I've kind of wrote it out, and I'll read it to you, and then we'll go to questions or get your opinion on that as well, okay? Okay, bottom line. Governments and corporations, especially those formed around the idea of a one world government, are losing their social grip on the people they perceive to control. They have controlled the worldview of the masses through their own owned and controlled media such as CNN, Fox, BBC, and any others you can think of. Got a double land there. With the onset of the internet and its fertile ground for alternative news sites, governments and corporations are losing control of the narrative. People are seeing through the lies and waking up to take control of their own lives, of their own destinies. And like I said, Brexit, the shorthand term to describe the fact that the UK has voted to leave the EU, is a great example of this. The British people have realized that they would be better off without the EU and voted to leave. The EU no longer has the ability to convince the people they should stay because people are turning to the internet for their information, and as a result are learning the truth and want to be free from the heavy hand of bloated government control. Government can't just take away free speech without looking tyrannical, so government has to find other ways to take back control of the narrative. By making hate speech a thing, government can now look legitimate in their mission to protect the people, and there's a double the, from the hate speech. By the way, I wanted the bottom line, so I wrote it up really quick and didn't catch all these things. But anyways, by convicting social media captains to help fight hate speech and create vague yet all-encompassing code of conduct guidelines and advertiser-friendly content guidelines, alternative media and opinion-generated content can essentially be silenced. Under the guise of private companies moderating their platforms to the point that content creators lose interest, governments can silence free speech without looking like they are the culprits. So let me know what you think about that. With all these companies at one time coming in and saying, "Hey, we're pulling out," to me, it's just too convenient. It's just too ready-made. Where the government's got a hold of the guys that are in these corporations, and I'm sure there's lots of different close relationships among all that stuff, and to bring it around to a point, I think there's a collusion going on there, and the idea is not necessarily to protect us from hate speech, but to protect them from the fact that they're losing the eyeballs. Period. All right, well, let's see here. We've got Savage Survival. Don't think banks had their money invested there like in the EU and the USA. What's he talking about? Soviet Union collapse. Maybe it's possible. Yeah, and that's what I agree with Savage. there's not enough investment in there for that to go on. U.S., EU, and the UN, the one world government, is basically the hegemonic front of the U.S. I would agree. I haven't followed the trails to really that I could say yeah for sure, but I'm sure you're not off base on that at all. Invested equals bought political officials. Yep, exactly. And maybe, but Russia is trying to make its influence known again. Yep, Russia's coming out of the rubble, and they're like the phoenix. Let's see. Well, they have people in nukes, so yeah, they can fix their guns if they feel pressure from any government. And all right, yeah. And Hunter says, yeah, they can only go so far because they are allies. Well, yeah, that's true, but allies, friends and foes constantly change, so you never know what's going on. But this has been bothering me as I've been watching it happen. I've seen a lot of creators losing their monetization and over the stupidest things, and really no way to, they can appeal, but a lot of them, even the appeal doesn't go in their favor. And that is a scary thing for sure. Anyway, that was what I had to say tonight. I don't see any more input, so I'm probably going to... Erwin, are we winning against these tyrants? Seems like we are doomed. Well, it always seems like that. I like to look at it like, good wins. Good will win. It just means that good has to stand up and start to fight. And I think we're seeing that. I think more people are waking up, and let's go back to Brexit. There's an example. People are starting to realize that things need to change. And so I think there's a slow but steady awakening. Jack says the Western oligarchs, via the Trilateral Commission, run the financial engines of the West via the U.S. executive branch. In turn, Trump has been compromised and turned. Yeah, I've been wondering about Trump. He made a lot of promises that people jumped on, and that's what got him in. But I've always been kind of like, oh man, Trump's not your regular politician. He's a business guy, so maybe there's some hope here. But instead of getting in and draining the swamp, my fear is that the swamp's going to drain him. So I'm sitting back and watching, and some of these moves that he makes, I'm going, now, is that a good move? Is that a horrible move? Or is something genius going on up there, right? So let's just kind of sit back and wait. I kind of reserve my judgment for now, because who knows what could come out of this. We're on the brink right now of things could go bad really quick. Savage, people can only get pushed so far before pushing back. Yeah. By the way, I didn't paint my face red. I've been out working and got sunburned this weekend, so I'm not blushing. Like Hillary in prison. Yeah, waiting. Exactly. What's going on with that? By now you'd think they'd be jumping on that. I see a lot of stuff like that. Trey Gowdy gets up there and he just drills at people and he gets the truth, and I love the way he does it. But then it's like it's a show and it's over and nothing comes of it. What the heck is going on with that stuff? Jack Walsh, who has Trump's ear? Goldman Sachs, Henry Kissinger. That was a weird one. Henry Kissinger? What in the world is he doing dealing with him? He's a big world order guy. Jack Walsh, Council of Foreign Relations. Yep. Thank you, Savage. It's a new thing for me. I'm trying to do it every Monday. And, you know, although I'm a prepping channel, basically, I'll probably kind of go off that topic once in a while with my live stuff. And hopefully keep it interesting. And you saw another nice live cast. Well, thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody coming around, and just, you know, something to think about and to kind of wake up over, and maybe the more we can get this word out and get people to thinking, you know, get the masses awoke, we can be the good guys standing up and doing the fight. All right, well, thanks everybody. I'm going to jump out of here now. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.